I was just sharing with Jeff a little bit ago. When you have these, and I know Mrs. Quick sent out a dozen emails and invites, we don't know what to expect. It's a beautiful night. We're about to practice. I know that my son is at the junior high for practice right now, but my wife made arrangements. We have arrangements for him to get a ride home, and I know that all of you have your own scenarios that you're dealing with. So we didn't know if we were planning for 120 tonight, because that's how many we have on this committee, or 25. So we have the podium and the mic, or we can make it more personable and just have a smaller setting. So I hope everyone had an outstanding start to the 24-25 school year. I know that we certainly did. This is my third year in the district as far as having 3 starts. I know it's certainly my best start for this school year. We have so much information. Jeff, Carrie, and Kinsey are with us tonight. I know that you all did so much work in the spring, February, March, April, May, when we were doing this educational visioning. And I was sharing with them, how's it going? I was sharing with them that on a daily basis, I'm having conversations with Carla, our principals, weekly meetings with the board about our master facility planning process, monthly meetings with Jeff, weekly meetings with Josh, with SAP. So we're in the weeds having these conversations all the time about the future of the district. What do we want to do? How can we lead? How can we guide? How can we communicate better? And you guys did it, one of the most important roles with the educational visioning, but it was 6 hours during the spring. So I want to take a few minutes and just recap some of the work that's been going on for the last year, bring everyone up to speed, and then I'll bring Jeff, Carrie, and Kinsey up to tie some of the work together that you did, and then they took it back to the office, put some things together over the summer now here to roll it out. What does this look like? And let's even talk about some hypotheticals for the future of our district. If you go back a year ago, really right at this time, we started creating the teams. We have our steering team, the financial team, the educational visioning team, all of us, and the community advisory team. The steering team in the fall, it was on a weekly basis for a couple months. We were trying to get in front of many community members as possible. We started with our staff before and after school. There were after board times that we were bringing our staff in to talk about, this is what the master facility plan is looking like, this is how we're going to roll it out, and this is how we want to communicate it. If you weren't aware, this was the steering team made up of board members, Bill McCartney, Steve Botaw, Assistant Superintendent Carla Quick, our treasurer, Mark Ingles, Tyler Jester with communications, myself. We were getting in front of our PTOs, getting in front of our booster groups. We had a meeting with the original Jonathan Alder Strategic Planning Committee. We were talking about master facility planning process. We want to click that. And well, we talked about the timeline. Hopefully these visuals look familiar to you. We were talking about the enrollment, the growth, the development, and how do we stay ahead of this. We work with a company, Cooperative Strategies, for the enrollment projections. We have quarterly meetings with them to monitor the enrollment so we can stay ahead of that and help us plan for the facility planning throughout the next couple of years. So we were trying to be forward thinking about communicating what's going to be taking shape over the next couple of years. Last spring, we held the educational visioning with all of you, but we were in our separate meetings. We had our parents and community, our staff, and we had our students simultaneously. We were going through these exercises with Steve Hammond and Paul, and planning for the future. And that's why they're here tonight. We wanted to bring everyone together for the first time, this group, to talk about, okay, what are we doing well now as a district? What are we not doing well? And what are we going to grow to do better? And what do we want our teaching and learning to look like in the next 3, 5, 10 years of Jonathan Alder? So we did all this work underneath a focus work for the year of Elevate. And I emphasized to my team that let's elevate all of our practices, all of our protocols, from the educational visioning to the master facility planning, from the treasurer's office to the transportation department. Every single thing that we do, let's try to elevate it. I asked every employee, if you do this much more, elevate what you currently are doing, and everyone does it across the board. The organization, the district is going to be lift it. And who's going to benefit from that? It's going to be our students. So let's do all this work underneath Elevate. Well, Elevate's not going away. We're still going to continue to elevate our practices, but we want to put a new focus this year, and that's on our Jonathan Alder families. So this year's focus is on our families, and that's why I think it's so important as we continue this educational visioning, having that family focus, because this is the group that's making decisions, going through the exercises, helping us create a plan for the school board so that we can make a recommendation to the school board about what we want the teaching and learning to look like. Now, it's important to understand the master facility planning and educational visioning. The educational visioning work is one segment, one piece that fits within the entire master facility planning process. But I would argue that educational visioning is the most important work that we do throughout this master facility planning process. It's the decisions that we make today and over the next couple months in that plan that we're going to present to the school board. This is what we want our teaching and learning to look like. Jeff and Carrie and Kinsey and Josh with SHP, they don't suggest this is what we think Jonathan Alder should look like in the future. All of you do. Our students, our staff, and our community go through these exercises facilitated by you guys, and I thank you, so that we can get to that point, and then we decide, can we do this well together? Can we do it with all our stakeholders? Can we provide the teaching and the learning to look a certain way with new buildings and then current buildings? And that's why this work is just so important. And I think it's the perfect timing for this focus of family to be our initiative for the year, because the work that we're doing today, the work that you did last spring, the work that we're going to do with the community advisory team starting next week, it impacts every single family in our district. So every single family in our district is going to be influenced and impacted by this plan that we come up with. And that's decades and decades of learning. So I just want to thank you so much for being part of this process. Thank you so much for your commitment to the district. Next week, we're going to get in front of our community advisory team. This is our CAT 1 team meeting. And this is a group of over 60 community members. And we're starting to go through, this is what our buildings can look like. These are some changes that we can make with current buildings. And this is new building proposals. And we talk about the cost. Then we bring in the visioning piece with that, and how does this plan as a whole fit into the future of our district? So this work that you're doing is just so valuable to the future of this district, and I just can't thank you enough. So Jeff, Carrie, and Kenzie are up. They're going to lead us through some of the findings, and then we're going to tie some things together here.
Are you guys able to hear okay? You sure? Okay, Tyler, is it good enough for the recording? Awesome. Before Carrie starts, question: if you were part of the staff visioning team, would you raise your hand? No yawning; it's too early for yawning. raise your hand if you're on the staff team. Raise it high. All right. Now look around. Now, if you were on the community team, raise your hand. Awesome. Good. And finally, the best, most amazing team, the student team. Raise your hand. All right, so we've got Ari, right? Alana, Emery, Cameron, is it Gigi? Yes, and, dude, I'm sorry. I forgot. Will, I'm sorry, Will.
You were so close.
I was so
you did a great
close,
job.
so close. They did an amazing job. So I just wanted to thank you guys for being here. It's an exciting night. We're looking forward to sharing it. So I'll get out of the way. Okay.
All right, so we're here for the Culminating event, which is personally my favorite event of the process, where we bring all our teams together. We're going to spend a little time recapping all the information that we gathered from all the different teams, just to remind you, because we know everybody went away for the summer, you relaxed, probably ed visioning was not at top of mind, but we're back, so wanting to just make sure that we kind of set the foundation and give you a summary of the process. So In round one, we came for a professional development day with all the staff at JA, which was awesome. We don't always get this opportunity to engage with all of the staff in a district. And we started that day off with a panel discussion about what are employees looking for. And this should all look familiar. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but we were kind of started off the process talking about future-proof skills. And these should look familiar. This idea of teamwork, communication, self-advocacy, solution-oriented, growth mindset, cultural awareness, and then situational assessment. So we really started to use these future-proof skills as a jumping-off point for the ed visioning process. On that day with the whole staff, we did the spend a dot exercise, which hopefully you all remember. We love our dot exercises. We gave you dots. There were a variety of different skills. We wanted to ask you what Jonathan Alder does really well today, and then what you want to do really well in the future. And that really led us to, you'll remember these diagrams, where we overlaid today and in 10 years. We did this with a group of students, we did this with the staff, and then we did this with the community. And you'll start to see some of the similarities, some of the differences between the groups. We thought that was really interesting and got us talking a lot about this idea that there's some opportunity to look at increasing our reasoning skills as an opportunity, as a shift in how we want to teach. So does this all look familiar? All right, great. So we took that information, we kind of reframed the exercise and the question when we went back to the students, but we talked to them about where would you learn these kind of reasoning skills. And this was really great. This should all look familiar. I also love the fact that they're just brain dumping anything that they think of, it goes down on a piece of paper, which is awesome. But we were talking about, where do you learn these skills today, this whole idea of reasoning. And these should look familiar. We talked about, video games, falling off your bike, eavesdropping. I think that was Gigi's, correct? Do you want to give us a little bit of what you meant by that? It wasn't a mean girl thing, but it really had a lot of application to this idea. So always kind of keeping your ears open for opportunities to learn. So we thought that was awesome. So thank you, Gigi, for explaining that. But this was a really fun exercise. There were a lot of overlaps. We did this with groups of students. So really interesting to see how the students think about this idea of reasoning. And then we talked about also relational skills and resilience, and these were also opportunities where the students see this opportunity for these skills to really develop. So we talked about empathy, which was really great, Dungeons and Dragons, leadership opportunities, working with people who are different from you. So how do you have that empathy, really take people's strengths, and how do you use those to their best ability? When we, then we also took this to the staff and the community group when we started talking about, as we consider kind of those shifts and opportunities to really look at how we expand those reasoning skills. One of the things that we asked those two groups to do is what do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? And what do we need to keep doing? Does everybody remember this exercise? So we asked we got a lot of great information from all the groups. So we took all these we had green, yellow, red sheets of paper. I don't know how many we had. Hundreds.
There were about 250, I think. Yes, there were a lot.
There were a lot. So we asked the teachers, and you'll see the teachers working in groups, we asked them to group these kind of by themes. Does the teacher group remember doing this. And so then that allowed us to kind of distill all this information into some really great information. We didn't spend a ton of time on the stops because obviously we wanted to really focus on the keeps and the starts, but it was a great opportunity for these to kind of rise to the top. So we acknowledge them and decide, how we're going to maybe stop doing some of these things that we think become barriers in moving forward with the shifts in teaching and learning. So these were the stop themes, and these were straight from the staff, which was really interesting. So stop using the one-size-fits-all kind of outdated teaching practices, stop resisting change and growth mindset. So you'll start to see like common words that we're seeing in all of these exercises. Stop overemphasis on testing and grades. Stop making excuses and enabling dependency. Stop limiting academic choices and creativity, and stop stigmatizing and segregating student groups. Does this sound familiar to the staff? Any thoughts, or when we look at these again, anything that kind of you think we're missing, or you're surprised by any of the stops? Okay, great. We really spent the majority of our time in our next round of activities focusing on the start and keep themes. We distilled these down to 8. We thought that was kind of a good number to start the process with. And again, taking all of that information and coming up with these common themes. So start and keeps, cultivating relationships. I think this goes back to the whole family theme, which I personally love. Embracing differences, focusing on fundamentals, teaching the whole child, facilitating real-world connections, fostering collaboration, driving innovation, and enhancing support systems. So we started to use these themes to take on to our next exercises. Any questions or comments?
All right, so then we met for our second round. And here we kind of kicked this off by talking about what would we see. So we have these 8 themes, the start and keep themes. What does that mean when we walk into a Jonathan Alder building? Any age level, what are we going to see when we look around? As tangible as we can keep these, I think, is what we told all of you as you were going through this. So it was looking at each of these 8 themes, and we started talking about, you can kind of see in the picture here, each of you groups were dividing and doing 2 of these pieces, and we definitely had a lot of overlap between some of these. So we talked about what does it look like if we're cultivating relationships. Maybe there's more collaboration, whether that's teacher to teacher, teacher to student, student to student. Maybe we're bringing in the community. We talked a lot about the real world connections. I think one of the groups was talking about what if we had this wall of all of these real life applications, like maybe you learn how to connect like electrical wires, or maybe like these different types of simulations. So what does it look like for us to bring that to our students and talk about hands-on learning? We talked a lot about cross-curricular activities, so doing projects that combine math and science and cooking, and how do we bring those pieces together, and again, fostering collaboration with some of those pieces. So we looked at a lot of these different pieces, and from there, we kind of had you in this mindset of, all right, what is that going to look like visually? We gave each of you 3 groups, so staff, students, and community, we gave you the same 40 images, if you remember. This was another dots exercise. Again, we loved our dots, and you chose which 6 images of those 40 you felt best represented those themes. Does this sound familiar? Do you all remember a bunch of random photos on a wall? And yeah? And this is where we landed. So there are a lot of differences in certain ways about what the different groups were thinking, but you'll also see a lot of similarities. So we've kind of outlined in different colors the ones that are overlapping between some of the different groups. I think overall, the community group really was looking at this flexible furniture and how do we integrate technology. And overall, kids, what would you think? Did it maybe feel the most like a classroom, like a typical classroom? Some of those images at the top? Yeah. Our students, you all thought you were looking at these spaces that were a little bit more collaborative. We loved the kitchen, the cooking idea, right? We loved kind of that hands-on learning. We loved having choice about where to sit and what type of environment to learn in, and also bringing the outside in as much as possible, which overlapped quite a bit with the staff group, actually. So also looking at collaborative spaces, hands-on learning, and choice. Just slightly kind of different learning environments for those. Was there anything in any of these images that maybe shocked people to see that other groups liked or were curious about? Right. Then we met for our third time, and teachers, if you remember, we asked you to come up with these stop signs. So everything we were talking about sounded great, but if we were really honest, what were these things that we were maybe afraid were going to stand in our way? Do you all remember that kind of conversation? Those who were part of that? And these were kind of the big ideas. So we talked a lot about safety. How do we ensure that everyone is safe in these spaces that are structured a little bit differently? We talked about glass, we talked about connection between spaces. How do we make sure our staff and our students are safe? Talked about money. Obviously, money is something that rises to the top of everyone's list. So where are we going to find these extra funds to do something different? Things are already really tight. We talked about the community. So we obviously want the community to be buying in on what we're doing. Well, they feel like this direction is the right direction for Jonathan Alder. We talked about having teachers and staff to adequately support this. So if we're doing these different things, do we have the manpower for that? Which kind of leads into some of the other pieces here. Are we going to be able to support the growth? So do we have the staff? Do we have the buildings for it? Do we have the expertise to support the growth that this is going to bring? Do we really need a change? I think things are going fine. That's a real concern that was brought to the table. And then time, of course. So there's barely time for what we do now. How are we going to add these things to our plate? Was there anything that's not on this list that anyone thought was maybe something that could have been, or they were surprised wasn't on the list? It all look pretty spot on, things depending on.
You can see, I'll just add, one of the goals of this exercise was to give the staff an opportunity to say, whoa, this is freaking me out a little bit, right? But the intent was not to solve every problem, right? The intent was just to voice it and to be able to make the administration aware of it so that as we move forward, we can see these things as potential pitfalls, things we need to be mindful of. But it wasn't really a how do we solve it kind of discussion.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. And then we had fun and everyone got to be a designer. So we did this blank page concepts exercise. And up here, they might look a little bit small, but these are some of your creations. So we asked you to design a learning environment for, I think we said 100 students. And so what would those parts and pieces look like? And there were very fun pieces, like talking about dogs and bringing them into the table, talking about coffee bars. There are a lot of fun little aspects in this. I'm trying to pick out. Students, do you remember which ones were yours maybe in here? Some of them. But all in all, a lot of the commonalities really rose to the top, being there were a lot of shared project labs. So where are we going to make things? We want to do this project-based learning. That's what a lot of this is starting to lead to. Where are we going to build things? How are we going to collaborate? So we're bringing in kind of these shared collaboration zones. It is really interesting, looking from piece to piece, and they really do all have kind of an open, collaborative feel to them that really reflects kind of the themes that were brought about during the process. Agile, flexible spaces that can change. So one day this can be a double classroom, and one day it's just a classroom for one group of students, or maybe it then becomes a small group room. So thinking about how do we create spaces that can look different today to tomorrow, and also today to 5 years, and so on. And a lot of them were centered around having access to outside. So even some trees that are popped in there, you can see just to make sure we're getting that, as well as having spaces that are visually connected. So a lot of those like zigzag lines and arrows are representing kind of having access to each of those. This is fun for me to see. I hope it's fun for all of you as well. You're great designers, by the way.
All right, you guys comfortable? Let's fix that. I think, so we're gonna ask you guys to work together, all right, to collaborate. So to do that, I'm gonna need to kind of blend you all right? So this might hurt a little bit, but it won't last long. It won't hurt for very long. If you all would kind of stand and move outside of the red line. Take your Stanleys with you. Leave the markers. Just go like outside, okay? Red Rover, would that be awesome? It's my favorite game in gym. Okay, we're gonna occupy the 9 tables in the middle here, okay? 9 tables in the middle. I need, raise your hand if you're staff. Okay. And community, raise your hand if you're community. I need 2 community members at each of these 9 tables in the middle, okay? And 1 staff person at each of the 9. I'm not sure if this will work or not. Students, hang out just a minute. All right. Good. What's that? All right, how are we doing? What do you need? Staff. Your staff? Okay, so who's standing back here? You're all staff? Community? Are we at those 3 tables in the back? Say that once more. All right. So who's standing? Staff? All right, just spread out. Just spread out, staff. Pick a friendly looking table. If you all just sat down where you were standing, you can't do that. You need to stand back up. I need you to spread out a little bit. Okay, all right, I'll allow that. All right. And finally, our students, guys, this could be the worst part of the night. It really is. Okay. So, 1 at each table, as best you can. Yeah. Adults, don't be afraid of the students. They're awesome. All right, now, what I want you to do is take 3 minutes and introduce yourselves to your table mates, okay? Just go around the table real quick. You guys done? Raise your hand if you're done. Okay, I'll give you a couple more. Are you done? It looks like I'll give you 1 more minute. You just chat. Okay. Gigi? Yes. Are the staff members here, are they junior high staff?
That's elementary.
Elementary, junior high? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Cameron, where's Cameron? Cameron, are those high school teachers back there? Are there high school teachers? I need you to move to a table with high school teachers, please. Where are the high school teachers? Okay. All right. Well, now what are we gonna do? Okay. All right, stay where you were, Cameron. We're gonna work this way.
I was like, this is too complicated.
Yeah. All right.
I think we're
Yeah. Is everyone uncomfortable enough right now? Good. Okay. Awesome. So, what does all this mean, right? We ran you through these, what, 6 hours for each group of exercises and conversations, and what in the world does this mean, and how are we going to do anything with this, right? That's the big question. As Superintendent Miller mentioned, this is part of a process. This is one piece of a bigger master planning process, all right? And this tonight is where we begin to turn the corner from teaching and learning, what's good for teaching and learning, to more kind of dollars and cents and what I call bricks and sticks. Okay, so when we're done with tonight, we're going to begin to make that turn. But first off, you guys need to kind of check our work. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Okay, so when we walk back through all those exercises, all those conversations, all the sketches, all the dots, right? We really worked hard to distill that down into some ideas. And for architects, for designers, it's really valuable the simpler we can make the ideas, because we're not the sharpest knives in the drawer, if you know what I mean. The simpler we can make those statements, the more concise, the more they will stick, right? And the more that they can inform the planning process, right? So these are the 4 statements that we came up with that we believe are representative of all the work that you guys did last spring. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these. The first one is active learning. So active learning, these bullet points are taken from your flip chart sheets. So all the text is from you guys. I think nearly all of it. So project-based learning, broadly integrated content. This kind of farm to table, math and science, economics kind of discussion. Interdisciplinary application-based projects, places to do stuff, right? Hands-on spaces. Things like home ec, ag, FFA, using what we learn, mastering the basics in engaging ways, okay? So when I read all those bullet points, I think active learning. Does that make sense? Okay, enough? Okay, when I look at active learning, these are the images you guys gravitated toward. And these are the images that for me say active learning. They support active learning. Take a look at those. You good? Okay. The next one, a community of collaboration. So when I think of this, I think about flexible spaces and furnishings to support this group work that we're talking about. Teachers collaborating on projects. It's not just the kids working together, but it's the teachers working together on their content, on units maybe. People working together, students working together, grades working together, staff and community working together, and then interactive and engaging content, all right? So what does that look like? So here I've highlighted the spaces that support this community of collaboration, all right? You with me? Am I too far out on a limb? Okay. The third one is a culture of connection. I should have made this larger print so I don't have to be so close to my computer. But easier access to one-on-one help. Talked a lot about the necessity for wraparound services as our population changes and evolves. Mentoring opportunities for students, but also for staff. You know, senior staff being able to kind of lead and help grow junior staff. Places and opportunities to be together that are not always assignment driven, right? So kind of free space. Display of student work, that was an interesting. You know, being able to see the work that you've done displayed, or being able to look forward to what that class was doing. Protected, unassigned breakout spaces, and embracing a diversifying population. So what does a culture of connection look like? This one gets a little fuzzier, a little softer. But I put the icons on here to, at least in my mind, these look like connected spaces. Spaces that have personal connections. All right. And finally, the last one, fostering wellness. So this is about a safe and welcoming atmosphere. We refer to these spaces as wellness spaces. The kids refer to them as kind of brain breaks, places where you can go to kind of catch your breath and clear your head. We hear a lot of staff talking about their car during lunchtime as a place to go and get away and kind of decompress. So how can we do that and not be in the parking lot? And then this sense of belonging, you know, that I fit here. I have a space here. I have a place here at home. Right? So again, what does that look like? I thought this one was kind of interesting. These little cubbies here, in my mind, they just scream like a little place to curl up and be by myself, right? Just to kind of push out all the noise and clear my head and settle down. Got a few others here outside, you know, kind of more casual space, not necessarily in the classroom. So, let me back up just a minute. So these are the four, what we'll call pillars, or big ideas. Active learning, a community of collaboration, a culture of connection, and fostering wellness. We would propose that these are the ideas that kind of drive spatially what our buildings need to be and look like in the future. Does this feel, just as a show of thumbs up, thumbs down, does this feel like it reflects your conversations that we had last spring? Give me a thumbs up, give me a sideways, give me a thumbs down. So I see a lot of thumbs ups, that's good. That's really good because we'd be done if we had thumbs downs. All right, so then the question becomes, will this work in our existing buildings? How do we do this, right? What does this look like in our existing buildings? So, with that being said, we wanted to take a swing at it. So, we tend to think of these as their own kind of unique space or criteria or environment. But the reality is that they really bleed together. They are more of a watercolor than they are a paint by number. Okay, so you know, parts of fostering wellness will bleed into collaboration, and parts of active learning will bleed into a culture of connection. So there are not kind of finite edges between these. Does that make sense? Okay, you with me on that? Great. So we wanted to take a look at these and see what does it look like. How do our existing buildings support these? So this is Monroe. You can kind of see up here at the top,
well, let's see, this is the front door. The gym is here, the cafeteria is here. The big move that we've made is we've kind of taken a classroom and resist the urge, or don't text someone tonight and say, hey, they're turning your classroom into this or that. Okay, that's not happening. That's not what we're proposing. But up here, what we've done is we've taken a couple classrooms. One, we've made into an active learning space, so more of a think big space. Many of your buildings already have those. The space right next to it, we've kind of opened up. So we've opened up the wall to the hallway and created a collaboration space. So that's just furnished different, it's a little more open. And then you can see those two little blue and red spots or squares on the back. Those are small group spaces. They're also space for one-on-one support. There's space for enrichment. There's space to get away and calm myself, so that's why it's different colors. Next door, the yellow spot, the active, that also has a connection to the outside, so maybe create a nice patio out there where we can go outside and learn. Also, that collaboration space could move outside as well. Okay. You'll also see that I've got these little red lines in the classrooms. So in my mind, red kind of speaks to that wellness idea. So is there a way that we can incorporate maybe a little quiet cubby in those classrooms, in those elementary classrooms, right? Just a space to get away. The other thing we're doing is we've got, now again, this is this connected culture. And in my mind, a lot of this is about display, at least in the cafeteria. Being able to share student work, share community events, share images of students. So this is an opportunity to kind of curate a visual story of what's happening at Alder, okay? And where you fit at Alder, all right? And then you can also see that we've taken, I think there's a teacher prep room here, and we've kind of captured some space here to make it a teacher collaboration space and an adjacent teacher wellness space, okay? So that's how that might work at Monroe. Anyone from Monroe? Great, okay, good. Good. Yeah.
Where are you going to
So the obvious question is, what happens to those kids, right? I don't know. So what happens to them is we build that into the master plan, right? We say, okay, our capacity here is X instead of Y. So we build that into the master plan and make it an intentional choice around. Okay, that's how we do it. All right, so that's Monroe. This is Plain City. The first floor is up here. You can see what we've done. Again, a lot of more kind of visual space here for that culture of connection. We've got the active learning space here, and we've created this outdoor space just adjacent to it to flow out into. There's a large kind of two-story atrium here that we thought might be able to support some collaboration if it were furnished appropriately, so you could go there. I've also got teacher collaboration and teacher wellness that we've tucked in here. And again, you'll see that kind of wellness theme in these little red tick marks in the classroom. So trying to build something maybe into the casework or a piece of furniture that will support that for the kids. Upstairs, created more of an internal active learning space. We've got teacher collaboration and teacher wellness. But there's kind of a two-story space here, and our thought was to, I think one of your groups came up with this, was to fill in some of that space and create a collaboration area, right? So could still be two-story, maybe at the entrance, but as we get nearer to the classroom wing, it becomes two separate floors. So collaboration, and again, that small group and personal wellness spaces. All right?
Good. Anyone from Plain City? Yeah. Okay, good. This is Canaan Middle School, the 5-6 building. What we've done here is we've taken the Think Big space, kept it here, and we're trying to capture this courtyard as an active learning support, so you can do things out there, right? Also, it's kind of a wellness space. I know we live in Ohio, so it's not always going to be ideal out there, but when it is ideal, it'd be great to take advantage of it, right? We've also created collaboration space here for the students, again, by knocking out this corridor wall. We've got a couple of small group wellness spaces here as well. Teacher collaboration and teacher wellness, and then we've tried to kind of sprinkle this kind of culture of connection, visual display component around the building. You can see up here on the second floor, again, that collaboration space, similar to the first. Okay? We're going to hand these out to you all and ask you to critique us. So you're going to have an opportunity to do that. So bear with us. This is Jonathan Alder Junior High. The front door is right here. I think there's an existing Think Big space about there. Is that right? So if we draw that outside as well, kind of create an opportunity to expand what goes on there. Then we've created in the other classroom wing a collaboration spot with some small group spaces, and then some teacher collaboration and teacher wellness space. And finally, here at the high school, we've got the Think Big here. There's a lot of grass out here, so it can easily be developed as another learning patio. I'm thinking a collaboration space that would open up here at the intersection of these two corridors. So it's highly visible and it's kind of centrally located so that staff and students can get to it easily. Capturing some space here. I think is this teacher prep now at the high school? Yeah. Capturing some space across the hall for teacher wellness and teacher collaboration. What's that?
I said also some student bathrooms. And they're in some strange space.
Oh, there are student bathrooms here?
On the other side of the hallway.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see. I was noticing that the lobby here is really pretty big. It's pretty gracious, which is very nice. What if we were to put some collaborative furniture in there, really take advantage of it so we can use it during the school day? Again, I've got some culture and connection kind of sprinkled throughout here. This is the second floor. I've added another lab up here. And I got to thinking about the media center. What would happen if we just kind of opened up the media center and left the books there, right? So it would still function as a media center. But we created kind of a center core there that could be collaborative. So kids could be there and they could work together and do many of the things we talked about. Right across the hall from that, there are windows. There's kind of a roof there. I was wondering, I'm not an architect, but actually I am. Yeah, I'm not a structural engineer, thanks Karen. But I got to thinking, what if we made that like a rooftop patio, right? So you could go out there, have some nice furniture, collaborate, catch your breath, have a break, right? Maybe that could work. Maybe that could actually happen. Again, teacher collaboration and some small group and wellness spaces. Okay? So this may be a little far-fetched, and that's okay. Or it may not have gone far enough, and that's okay too. That's really what we want to give you the opportunity to talk about. All right? Does everyone have markers at their table? All right. Kinsey and Carrie, will you help me pass out some sheets? Who wants to, what table, be thinking about what group, what school building you want to critique. Okay? All right, so let's start in the back row. What what building do you guys want? What? Canaan. Okay. And right next to you. What do you?
Angie, what? High school?
Gigi? Come here and help me.
What if
Please.
that's student side?
I don't know. You guys are going to do the junior high. Could you grab the junior high? Do you know which one it is? Yep, take that. Anyone else want to do the junior high? No. Okay. What do you, Alana, which one do you want? You guys have one?
I need 2 Canaans if you don't.
Do you have enough?
You're okay?
All right. Does everyone have a floor plan? Everyone have a floor plan? All right, raise your hand if you have the high school. Who's got the high school? You guys have the high school. No one else has the high school. Anyone else want the high school? Are you dying to do the high school?
Yeah, we can do that one too.
Okay, why don't, yeah. All right, who's got the junior high? You guys have the junior high? Anyone else have the junior high? Okay. What about Canaan? Canaan is right. Where? All right. Have we got Plain City? That's Plain City? Monroe? So, this is what we're looking for. So remember, don't be shy. What I want you to do is grab the markers. Let me have your attention for 1 minute. Let me have your attention.
If you can hear me clap once.
Oh.
No, it didn't work.
You can hear it clap once. You can hear it clap twice. I love that trick, kids. It's awesome. All right. Yeah. All right, so what I want you to do is put a smiley face on the things that you love about the plan, okay? Because I'm sure there will be tons of things you love about these plans. Put a sad face or a frown or a mad face on the things that you're not so excited about. And if you can, give us a couple words as to why for both of these, okay? For what you love and what you don't love.
Can we move things with arrows?
Sure, you can move things. And what I need you to do is give me a score for how well it supports the big ideas, the 4 pillars, and a score for how feasible it is. Do you think we could actually do this? Question.
Clarifying question.
Yes.
None of this is taking into account the quantity of people already in the building.
Correct.
So we're not thinking about,
Yeah.
okay, so we're just thinking about children.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so the question was, are we going to have enough room? I'd say don't get too distracted by that. That's what master planning is for.
So this one. A lot of it.
Who had Monroe? Who did Monroe? You guys did Monroe? All right. What was my average score on Monroe? Average score. Oh, with your additions. All right. Wow. Yeah. It could be amazing. All right. Man, I wish my teachers would have graded my work that way. But they're okay. All right. So tell me, was there anything that you loved about my plan? What did you love about it?
What we really liked about Monroe is using the outside space
Okay.
and having access to that for students to read, write,
Huh?
art, just to get some fresh air and sunshine and
Yeah.
a different place to live.
Great. What did you like least about it?
We weren't sure about the cubbies that were in the classroom.
Yep.
We liked the idea of those.
Mhm.
However, we were unsure about those uses of space. If those rooms were really the same size,
Yeah.
what would be using for them?
Yep. Great question. I have the same question. Very good. All right. Now you guys redesigned it, right? Slightly. What were you most excited about changing?
We flipped where we have the active collaboration.
Uh-huh.
Flip that over so it would be adjacent to the library.
Is that over here?
Correct.
Like here?
No, keep going. Yes, that
Okay.
space.
Okay.
And then off of the library, we did another sort of like garden like you have on the other side.
Like kind of outside?
Exactly.
All right.
And then in that we also incorporated a story book to
Oh.
the library.
Okay.
And then we also added off of the active collaboration space, and this was Emery's idea, was to put it in the course system. So students would have access to see outside and near outside, like
Yeah.
during the off season.
That's great. Good idea, Emery. Good idea. All right. So why was it important to move these two things from here over to here? What was the upside in doing that?
One of the upsides was thinking about collaborating with the library and the active space when we do like internships and so on.
Gotcha.
And we could also incorporate that curriculum development, research, and have those as spaces that could be interviewed.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Golf clap for Monroe. Good job. Awesome. That's right. They were taking someone else's room. Okay. Is there another Monroe? Oh yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Can you use your outside voice? Okay.
We really like the outside space, the active and the collaboration space. We also were worried about the cubbies in the classroom.
Yeah.
How much space was that going to take up? How much it's going to take away from teachers' storage?
Uh-huh.
And then we really liked the culture of connection and the cafeteria. And we also had to bring it throughout the hallways.
Oh yeah.
The fingerprints of students and change those out over the years in order to show real learning inside the classroom
Right.
So that
What-
has been changing.
What did you like the least about it?
I think it was, we were worried about the smaller rooms in classrooms.
Okay. All right.
The idea of it, and we were really worried about taking away
Yeah.
from that classroom size.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, I think that's a real issue. Yep, I agree with you. What was the grade? 72.5. Okay, 72.5, that's a C minus? C's get degrees. All right, okay, let's see. Sorry, I shouldn't say that in front of educators, should I? Not like y'all were straight A's anyway. Okay, so Plain City, who had Plain City? Oh, wait, golf clap for a second, Monroe. Yes. Plain City, Will, you guys have Plain City? What was the grade? 80. Even 80%? So is that a B? It's a B? Good. Okay. I'll take a B minus. I'm moving up. All right. So what did you guys love about Plain City? Uh-huh. Okay, yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. What did you guys like the least? What did you hate about it? Oh, this on the first floor? Tell me why. Is this too crowded? Yeah. Right, right. Okay.
45 minutes with specials, they use that hallway, so every 45 minutes we have moving.
Yeah.
And then also the whole lunch block are all going back and watching everything in that space, so it is usable, but it would be for like short amounts of time in
Yeah.
the morning and then like after lunch, but
Okay.
you have to plan it in between the spaces.
Gotcha. What is the lunch block? How many lunches are served? Are there?
Lunch starts at 11:35 and then the last group goes to recess at
Okay. Okay, good. All right. You said 82? 80%? I'm cheating. I'm trying to. Yeah. All right. Golf clap for Plain City 1. Anyone else have Plain City? You guys did? No? Yes, no?
We did.
You did. All right. Plain City 2, tell me about it. What was the grade?
We gave it a low grade, but it has a lot of potential.
All right, I'll take that. That's what my wife said. All right, low grade, so low grade being,
We just felt like there was, there's,
just give me the number.
it was this 35%, but we're not
Wow.
We're not numbers gals. This is like a,
Wow.
It's a lot of potential.
Out of 40, right?
Yes.
Sheesh. Okay, so what was there anything that you really loved about it?
Yes.
Tell me.
Love the collaboration.
Throw me a
space
bone.
that they didn't like.
Okay. So what you loved,
The collaboration space.
like here,
Yes,
both of them? So you
We
didn't
thought
have,
that big atrium, the big tall, was wasted space.
yeah, so,
Let's utilize it.
so this one on the second floor made a lot of sense?
Yes.
Okay,
like that one, and we closed it off, so there wasn't so much sound from the down.
Yep.
So we agree, we like that space.
awesome, love that, love that,
And then we just felt like there wasn't else a lot that was given to us
okay?
because there's just a lot of kids and not a lot of space.
Mhm.
And we
Okay.
talked about how in the top floor, there's one little active area for 400 kids.
Okay,
We were talking about putting one or an active area in each four.
so you're saying there are
classrooms.
400 kids on the second floor
Correct.
and 400 kids on the first
Like
floor?
350.
Okay.
Or 300.
Yep. Mhm.
So we thought maybe putting an active area in the middle of 4 classrooms.
Oh,
Or like a
okay,
pod type, that
Yeah.
could be utilized more and more effectively.
So adding active space to distribute it more evenly across the kids.
Because then we were like, well, would they have to come in and like reserve a time
Yeah,
slot?
right.
And then we feel like it wouldn't be used
Right.
as much as each classroom would like.
Okay.
When we talked about accountability for that being, when it's shared amongst the entire top level, who takes accountability for that? But if it's a pod of classrooms,
Yeah.
if the accountability is kind of with those folks.
Right. Okay.
The smaller network to see it.
Yeah. I wonder if there would be a way to, if we did it that way, to blend the collaborative and the active space together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the demonstration area,
Yeah.
there's already like a playground area there. We could do some things with some furniture classes to like preschool.
Oh, it does. All right. So there's preschool playground out here somewhere?
Like to the like
Okay.
yeah, there's a preschool playground, and then that little flat-out area to the left is like already kind of like a courtyard area.
This area here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if we made like an active area down here,
Right.
could we spill out here maybe? Okay.
Huh?
All right. Okay.
Oh, you know, I don't-
Anything else? Alana, I'm a little hurt by the 35, but I'll take it. All right. Golf clap for Plain City number 2. Anyone else have Plain City? No. All right. Canaan. Who had Canaan? Way in the back. Yes. Tell me about, what did you love about Canaan? Say that again? Okay, gotcha. 97.5. That's more like it. That is more like it. I appreciate it. We'll just move on to the next one. No, tell me what you loved about it. Yeah.
We did like the collaborative. One thing we can change is the non-collaborative, where we move stuff.
You'd move it? Where would you move it to, you think?
Near the,
Oh, like
over stuff.
kind of over here-ish? Gotcha, okay. So that you could get out here. Very smart, very smart. Okay. What did you not like? The room with the furnace? Yeah. It's also your air conditioning. So, all right. Anything that I did that you didn't like? Anything else you didn't like? Oh. Okay, all right, good. Okay. And I'll just repeat 97.5. I'm pretty sure that's a high A.
That's a lot better than the 35.
Yes, it is better than a 35. All right, golf clap for Canaan number 1. Thank you. Good job, Ari. Ari, did they miss anything? No? Okay, good. All right. Table in the back. Sorry. He starts with sorry. A 50? Okay.
So one thing, I did have a question about the collaboration. So, like we talked, about collaborating with the teacher, build that space with class. That's not really a viable option because it's a small space.
Correct.
Collaborate with class.
Yep.
So then we started thinking about, well, some of the pictures that he showed us in the focus today is to collaborate with the process. That's what we talk about maybe not those walls out there.
Yep.
The cloud is great, not using walls, and then more access to outside.
Okay.
On the southern part of the bottom of the map, southern part, there's a lot of it, it's grass that's there.
Uh-huh.
For
Okay.
so if you have need space outside, I don't know what state also has in terms of allowed to, there's quite a bit of space outside of there as well.
Yeah.
I know that I take my kids outside,
Mhm. How do they react to that? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So you talked about openness between classrooms, right? Is that what I heard? The option of it. Did anyone else have that? Did anyone else talk about that? You guys did. What building were you? You're Canaan 3. All right, that's a good segue. Golf clap for Canaan 2. All right, Canaan 3, what's my score? The superintendent cannot present. Another 97.5. Okay. All right, all right. Okay, so tell me what you loved about it. Anything you loved about it? Anything that was moderately interesting about it? The courtyard? Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We also talked about collaboration space is great, but it's a fixed concept of having fixed in one location. To capture the same concept of the walls of the classrooms.
Yeah.
It's collaboration spaces, collaboration for separate classrooms. So I think it's like expanding that just like fixing it.
It's good. Yeah. And that's, I mean, depending on how you do it, that's achievable. Good. Anything else? Canaan 3?
We like the teacher collaboration area, but you're thinking kind of like Zen, making it that like thing on for family, that family space, that space to whether it's 10 minutes to unwind, your cleaning period, just getting away, or connecting with another teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But we did feel like that was where we felt like that wellness space and place, but like we could do a little bit more with that in the vision of Canaan, so that was where it kind of dropped our score.
So the idea of it was good, but the location was not right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, is there a way where it could be like more, like she said, that the pre-season space, or a space to where it connects to the outside?
Gotcha.
To get outside, or.
Yep. Perfect.
Like the southwest corner.
Yeah.
What would be the southwest, yep.
Mhm.
Into a four-season type space.
Yep.
That could also be a safe space for kids to use too, often. Yeah.
Right. Very good.
I love the idea of totally surrounding the cafeteria area with connection,
Mm-hmm.
Wall space, photos, stuff.
Perfect. Anything else to add? Mr. Miller, I cut you off earlier. Anything to add? Okay, great. All right, golf clap for Canaan 3. All right, the junior high school. Who had the junior high? You guys have the junior high. Anyone else have the junior high? All right.
Jessica.
Talk to, what was our score?
Well, I think it's important that we explain how we come up with our score.
That's like, it's not you, it's me.
So how well does it support the four pillars? We felt like you were at an 80% on that.
Okay.
But unfortunately, this is not a viable solution, and so it came in at 0. Therefore, your average
Drop
was
my
a,
average.
it did, was a 40, and that's why I wanted to explain
All right.
before I went on any further.
I
So,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
no
Thank
problem.
you.
We had a lot of smiley faces in terms of collaboration space and active spaces. We moved some things in order to utilize some of the little cubbies that are on the outside of the building, like spaces
Like
up higher. Yep, right there, yep.
Okay.
Actually outside the building.
Oh,
Yep, right there.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So we actually, we're gonna utilize that space and move the active space down. And that way we were still kind of maintaining the actual physical space of the building, but utilizing non-usable space as of right now.
So are you saying that this becomes interior space?
Correct.
Okay, I got
Yep. We're
All
on
right.
walls. And then, oh yeah, and then it also attached to the outside. So like that big
Yeah.
open space there, we felt like, we liked that idea of the connection. We just moved locations.
Perfect, yes. Yep.
And then the reason why we dropped you to an 80 was because we felt like we needed a little bit more collaboration space, just having the one. And so we started talking about the current use of all of the space on the left side of the building over there.
Oh.
And what it's currently used for, and whether or not it would be viable to transform this space and everything. So that's kind of why the 0% popped up. But the auditorium, we were like, is it being used? Would it be used for that purpose? Could it be used for another purpose? Yeah, but it would probably take a bulldozer to do it. So, and then like the current wrestling room, just thinking about the current space over there.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a lot of reconfiguring, and I've never been physically in this building, but from what the ladies were describing, that we could probably utilize the space differently.
So, question about moving. So what I'm hearing you say is maybe add some collaborative or active space over here.
Yeah, so the library's right there too,
Yeah.
and that's what Shelley's done an amazing job. We got new furniture in there, and like everybody wants to be there. It's awesome. We have different things going on.
Yeah.
So just like amping it up a little bit more and having it down there.
So is it being, if we were to do that, is it too far away from the classrooms to be attractive? No. Okay. All right. Gigi's giving me a hard no. No problem. All right. Good. Anything else? I'll pretend I didn't hear the 0.
It's okay, you can stick with the 80. It's good.
All right, golf clap for the junior high. All right, who had the high school? You guys did the high school? Who else in the back? Is that, we just had 2 high school? All right. So why don't you guys start in the back? Tell us what's the score, Cameron?
Overall,
80? Okay, thank you.
So we liked in the entrance hall over there.
Yeah.
Like a space to hang on things and things like that.
Let's see. Over here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
We also like the space to like gyms and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So like hang on things during like any games inside any anything like back there. That's the main hallway. So here's an entry for the see the super things like that.
Right.
And then let's see here. So over there, that was one of the things that isn't really viable, because during, like, before school, this entire hallway is flooded with people, and they go to there also.
Okay.
Like harbor, things like that in there, so I could put like,
Yeah, okay.
but yeah, there's just too much traffic in after, like,
Sure.
especially after lunches.
Yep.
Like, that, like, entire, like, a lot of people build up, that's why, there's like, however many people just for like.
Sure. Kind of similar to Plain City. Okay. Got it.
We did like the courtyard, like where the courtyard, like the
have classes. So
Are you, is it because you're not allowed in there, or is
we
it?
go to classes like,
Okay.
I don't know,
Okay.
calls.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Senior courtyard?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The yellow, like, circle outside of school, you, it's kind of viable, it's just you need a fence there, because that is like, everyone on the road can very, very clearly see you, and like all that.
So
Like,
just some,
especially now, because there's soybeans in the field, like, it's very clear, kind of like this view.
yeah. And is that a safety concern or a distraction issue? Safety.
Yeah.
Got it.
More so safety.
Okay, good. Okay. What about upstairs, Cameron?
Yeah, upstairs. So, so we like the idea of opening up the library. It's hard to get in there. Like the library, very close to mine. You have a tiny, you know, like the office, like maybe get like an advisory period.
Okay.
Sometimes go up, but sometimes. Maybe that we like the overhang idea.
Okay.
That was I could I mean also that space also like have some like outside.
Yeah.
The two rooms right above the courtyard thing,
Yeah.
you can explain that it's not possible that there's
Oh, it's mechanical?
yeah.
Gotcha. Down here. Yep. Details, details. Okay. Move it down to here? To, okay. Nice. What are those two rooms today? Classrooms? Gotcha. Okay. Great. Yeah.
I'm sure those features going on that breakfast and lunch.
Wouldn't mind at all. Wouldn't mind at all. All right. Golf clap for high school number 1. Thank you, guys. 80%. All right. High school number 2. What's the grade? 80% again. Good. Okay, I'll take that.
So the current thing, big spaces, we were talking about with all the other schools, we're trying to add a big space there, like we got like Canaan and Young. It's like if we get one, especially to the elementary, we only want, the elementary takes a lot of trips to the high school. So that kind of eliminates the point that it has to be by the door.
Oh. Next to the courtyard?
To the right, yes, if we switch it, so that not just the thinking space can have access to the courtyard.
Yeah, very smart.
And all these classes that are online also can have access to the courtyard, so that like if they're, for instance, going to go into the courtyard, they don't have to go out and walk down to
Right.
hallways.
Okay.
They can just go straight through the classroom. So then for this collaborative, there is a collaboration science space.
Why would it be collaborative science?
So we talked about, so the 2 classrooms on the left are science labs, and we thought like, is that again, kind of the similar issues in some of the other buildings, if you put 2 high school classes, you're talking about 50 kids in one room. At minimum.
Yep.
So is it better, like, could you make the science classrooms a little smaller and slide that collaboration space in between, and it be like a lab space that they share then, because they don't do hands-on labs every day in science class.
If these are the science classrooms, what if you move the science class to the left and switch it with a collaboration area so that you can have the window?
Okay, gotcha. What else along?
Entry area, you know, we were talking about how it's all loud and everything. Like, thinking about the south room.
Here at the front door? Okay.
And water feature because.
Is there a water feature there?
Occasionally, yes.
Okay. Great. Anything else from the group, from the team?
No, I think like we really liked, again, the same thing, like the library is just such an underused space. If we don't have a staff person there, then it's not being used. So like opening that up is much better use of that. Alana had the idea of taking that collaboration wellness space and turning it into kind of that 4 seasons concept that some of the other buildings have talked about too, that just a space that we can use year round.
I didn't know it was on the 2nd floor, so I was talking about having a connection, like being on the floor. Then I found out this was on the 2nd floor, so I thought I said that if you like took out this kind of wall, that separates the here, and then you put like a little into the classroom, some sort of like fence, and then like a garage wall behind it, so you could like roll up that garage wall so that there's a fence there to make sure no accidents happen, but then you have like access to the outside.
Right. What if we put a slide from the upper top patio down to the floor?
Yeah.
Give me the senior slide.
Don't tempt teenagers.
All right, golf clap for high school. All right. So, were you guys counting? Yeah, the 35 hurt. The 40 didn't help. So, anyhow, okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. So, this is right. Yeah. I'm going to introduce Josh Predovich to you. Josh, I think you guys have probably met him before. He's been driving the whole master planning effort, and Josh, welcome.
So, golf clap for Jeff and Kinsey and Carrie. What's the group overall grade? What do we think? I heard a lot of 80s. Yeah, better than an 80? I really like the laser pointer. So we really appreciate your time in going through this process with us. What I want to do is I'm just going to spend maybe 2 minutes just sort of talking about how we're going to use this information because it's very important. We have a number of school districts that we work with that don't go through this type of exercise. And what's very challenging for us as architects is I can design you the most beautiful school in the world, but if I don't know how you're going to use it, then we've got a disconnect, right? I have to appreciate the learning that's going to happen inside that building. And that's why it's so important as Jeff and Carrie and Kinsey put together these concepts, these big ideas, that we can fully appreciate them. And just as Jeff ran you through that exercise to think about how we might impact the existing buildings, that's going to inform us as we start to think about master plan solutions. So maybe one of our master plan solutions looks at taking a grade out of the elementary schools, right? That may be something that we investigate. And now all of a sudden we've opened up, 3 or 4 rooms in each one of those buildings, and now we've got the opportunity to think about these types of interventions. So there are things like that we're going to consider. I don't know that they're going to ultimately make it to the final master plan because everything's got dollar implications, right? If I pull a grade out of the existing buildings, I've got to buy that space someplace else, right? So that's the exercise that we're going to go through. So obviously, district steering team, financial advisory team, educational visioning team, you guys made it all the way to here. Next up is the community advisory team. How many folks do I have that have already committed to community advisory? Fantastic, great. So what I'm going to be looking to you when we go through this next round of meetings is I need you to bring all this with you, right? Because we're going to be talking about a lot of these different concepts, and I need this information to come forward. So Jeff is going to sit in on, I think, on our first meeting, probably come in virtual, and he's going to talk to us about the big ideas so that the rest of the community advisory team can hear that. But when we do table exercises and things, I'm going to be splitting some of you folks up so that there's some representation in each of the tables, so that you can bring that expertise with you, okay? Because we are counting on you to be experts. We're counting on you to talk to the rest of the community and helping them understand why education has to be one of the three most important things that we talk about, all right? So with that, the community advisory team, this is just a quick description. If you take anything away from this, that develop community values piece is huge, right? So we're going to talk at length about what that means. We're going to talk through some exercises, work through some exercises, so that again, we can focus the master planning on making sure that it is community developed and supported, right? Because ultimately your community, going back to Jim's concept and words about family and thinking about that, that has to be key to this, right? We can do all kinds of great master planning. We can talk about numbers, we can talk about solutions, but ultimately the community aspect of it has to be there, it has to be strong. So as far as dates are concerned, for the folks that are involved in community advisory team, we're going to start on September 12th. We've got a meeting in October, November, and December. And our goal is that each one of those meetings, the first meeting, we're going to talk a lot about writing a lot of information and bringing everybody up to the same level, right? So everybody's got basically the same starting point, right? So that we're all sort of working together. And then the second meeting, we're going to start to talk about those master plan options, really get into detail on those. The third meeting, we're going to refine them. The fourth meeting, we're ultimately going to try and take what might be the best 5 or 6 ideas and we get them down to one great idea. And that will be the idea that we take to the board and make the recommendation. And you can see right now, we're targeting the December 9th board meeting. And all of this is key because there are specific filing dates that we have to think about if we're going to move forward with putting a bond issue on, right? Because all of these things have costs associated with them. So we're going to help the community to support us, right? So that's what's going to happen here in the next 4 months.
Can I add?
Jeff, please.
You guys will recall that Carrie started tonight. She started with the exercise with the teachers. We're gonna share this information with all the staff on a PD day on 23rd of September. So it will start with them, and it will end with them. So they will be informed about all of this.
That'll be awesome. Yep. And I'll be looking for that to inform us at community advisory, right? Because we need all this to come together. Okay. So, Jim, final thoughts?
Are you done?
I am. I'm finished.
Josh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Is it Alana? Thank you. Is this yours, sir? Well done. We have Alana up here running some of these plans, and Jeff is talking about C's gets degree. I can't thank you guys enough for your commitment, and the amount of other districts that I know that do educational visioning, I feel like Jonathan Alder is doing it at the next level. The commitment, the time, the expertise, the relationships, and now we have this family piece. So just thank you for the work that you've put towards this, towards the district, and towards our kids. Thank you, Jeff, Carrie, and Kenzie. I'm really excited about learning more about how the 12th goes, and then, like you just mentioned, on the 23rd, just continue to build upon this, and hopefully that informs us as we need to make decisions moving forward. So, thank you, Josh. Thank all of you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.